This is a running series on CPE, so for our clinically pressed exercises. We have a bunch of different exercises that we highly recommend for runners, broken down kind of easiest to hardest, but also ways they can work together. We don't recommend that you do all of them every day. Pick and choose. These exercises are also available in singular video, so if you want to go back and just find one and concentrate on that, please check out our YouTube channel for that. If you are a runner, this is a great option to get into just to get started. Make sure your hips are balanced and strong to help prevent injury and also enhance your running. Enjoy. This exercise is called the hip hiker. For this one, we're trying to work the abductors of the hip, or the muscles that move your leg away to the side, and more specifically the glute medius. As you can see, you want to get on something that's raised up just a little bit in order to have a place for your hip to drop. In theory, you would really like for your knee not to bend, but just have this motion all occurring at your hips. As you can see from the video, I'm not very good at that. The whole goal here is to just help in training this glute med muscle to turn on for one, and B, go and help stabilize your pelvis as you're walking, as you're running, so then you don't get as much wavering when you're running, which can then help with IT band issues if you have a valgus knee or a knee that goes in. This is one I like to do a high set of reps on to increase intensity. We can always add a little bit of ankle weight, but the main points of it all are letting it all occur at your hip. You should feel the burn on the outside of your hip behind that bony prominence. You can feel if you just press in, it should be directly behind that, and that is what you need in order to perform the perfect hip hiker. This is the single leg mini squat. Just like the hip hiker, you want to make sure that you have an elevated surface, whether that's a box or a stair or something like that. The goal of this is to make sure that we're controlling the motion, not worried about depth. So one thing we want to make very sure of is that our hips stay level the entire time. So a mirror or a training partner can be very valuable, but we also want to make sure that our hips and our knee is also breaking at the same time. We don't want our knee to break first and then have the quads get overloaded. When you start doing these, you should really start feeling the burn kind of in your glute that's for the leg that's on the box, and potentially just to the outside of that hip as well. That's where the major burn should occur. While you'll get some in your quad, that should not be the main focus. You can use the floor just as your tap point to make sure that you're getting enough depth, but this is another one we're focusing on really high reps. We're trying to train the muscle to do this over and over and over again. So I like to go to burn on this one or pick a very high number to get it to train that way. This is a single leg mini squat with hip abduction on a slide board. This is a progression up from the single leg mini squat, so I would start there before jumping into this one. What we're looking for is you want to get a band of some sort, TheraBand, whatever it may be, to put around your feet, and then use a slide board. If you're on a slippery surface, socks work well, or even just putting down a towel. What we're looking for is, as we're going into the mini squat on the stance leg, is to push the opposite leg back into extension and abduction. While doing so, we want to keep that back leg's toe pointed as forward as we possibly can. As you can see, I do an okay job at this. This will increase the intensity of the stabilizers on the lateral hip on the stance leg and really get burning both in your glute max and your glute med to help just stabilize a little bit better when you're performing this exercise. Again, this is a progression, and like we have mentioned before in other exercises, this is a great one to do till it starts really burning when you know that you've hit a good amount of reps. This is a reverse clamshell. This is working both internal rotators of the hip and also a little bit on the external. You want the band to be around your foot and maybe even go a little lighter resistance than what I have in here. The goal is to control the motion both up and down in order to get everything firing. You want to go a little quicker to this one as long as things stay controlled. But this is another exercise as we think about these hip muscles as the rotator cuff of the hip and their stabilizing capacity, that we want to make sure that we're going to burn out to where things are really starting to fire, and also while we're still maintaining proper position and form when we're doing it. So again, this is another great one just to get these muscles activated and helping you out. This exercise we call the heel clicker. It's again working on an external rotation with a ball placed between your knees. I don't recommend you wearing golf pants because the ball tends to slip a little bit. Use a band around your feet. I use too much resistance in this video. I would like something just a little more stretchy, a little less resistance in order to control the motion a little bit more, as you don't want to snap back to the beginning. Also with it, you want to go as quickly as possible while maintaining good form, much like our reverse clamshell, where this will get the external glutes firing and also all the rotators there. Again, we like to work to burnout just to get these muscles turned on and also help them in their ability to control the hip and all the position. Again, another thing I'm doing wrong is raising my head up, try and stay back and relax there, so all the motion is just coming from your hip. This is traditional clamshell, and this is we're working on the external rotators of the hip. A couple big points on this one is it's a little more slow and controlled motion. We are still going to work to burn out with it. I'm doing a decent job here. You want to make sure your hips stay stacked and that all the rotation is coming at your hips, that your low back isn't swaying back with it as you're then recruiting muscles that we aren't trying to target. This should burn right behind your greater trochanter or the point on the outside of your hip when you're trying to get this thing working properly. Try and think of a pivot through your hip right at that area, and also keeping your feet together. Control the motion on the way down. Again, even though this is slower, we still like to work to burn out for the main purpose of trying to make sure that we're treating these muscles as they are in a supporting fashion. This is a double leg glute bridge, and this is the first in a series of a couple of glute bridges, but this is where we start. A couple big key points before you actually get started in the movement. This is a glute exercise. This is not a hamstring exercise. This is not a low back exercise. So if you are feeling a large amount of work in those areas, we're probably not quite getting the look that we want from doing the exercise. So with that, before you even initiate the movement, you very much want to get your glutes squeezed in order to activate those first. You are going to want to go, and when you're at the top, feel about 70% of the work out of your glutes and only 30% out of your hamstrings, with your back not being involved at all. A couple tips on this one: dig your heels in to get your toes up. That will help with giving glute activation. If you're still struggling with that, try curling your toe, especially your big toe, when you're in this position, because that will also help with glute activation. And then what we're really looking for is a straight line between knees and shoulders by getting your hips up high enough. In terms of reps and sets for this, we just pick a rep range that makes sense and helps us out. So it could be 10, could be 15, all depending on the advancement of the exercise. This is the next step in our glute progression, going from a double leg bridge into a single leg march. Same rules apply as from the previous exercise in the double leg glute bridge. This is a glute exercise more than it is hamstring or low back, so we want to have about 70% of the work coming from our glutes, the other 30% coming from our hamstrings, and our low back not feeling much of anything. So we'll contract glutes to bring us up into the bridge. While there, we're going to maintain that posture, maintain that contraction in our glutes, and then just slowly and controlled raise our hip flexor up to about 90 degrees, mimicking a running motion. Again, you want to stay controlled. You want to stay that straight line between your knees and your shoulders. Don't be like me and tilt your head up. That's going to put some stress into your posterior chain you don't need. But this is a great exercise to progress from the double leg glute bridge. That being said, pick reps, pick time that challenge you but aren't too difficult. This is our last variation in the glute bridge series, and it's just a single leg glute bridge. Nothing new or very different from everything before, other than we're going to take that marching position with our hips in flexion, and we're just going to mimic that. Again, we very much want to get the glute to be the most active muscle in this exercise, 70-30 principle again, and really continue to focus on getting straight line between knees and shoulders with getting your hips up. This is a great one to focus on. For if you're a sprinter, even if you're a distance runner, it's going to be great to train this to make sure. There's a bunch of variations we can go out of this in terms of a hip series. We'll cover that in another video at a different time. But again, great to progress on, build your reps. If you're hitting in 15 to 20 reps of these looking really good, we know we're getting proper firing as long as we're maintaining that 70-30 principle.